Hi everybody, Mr. Matas here. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working in our sketchbook slash workbook. Okay, so you're going to need this. You're also going to need some pencils that are in your little pencil bag. You're also going to need a sharpener. Okay, now the pencils that you're going to need are all the 5 pencils that you have in here. Okay, yours are probably unsharpened, so make sure you sharpen them because trying to draw with an unsharpened pencil is it's just it doesn't work because it's just pointless. Funny, right? I know. You saw it coming. All right, so I'm going to need that and maybe my eraser. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and grab those things and then come on back here, okay? All right, so welcome back. So again, got our sketchbook and all this stuff. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be opening up to page 18, I believe. Page 18 in our sketchbook. Page 18 in our sketchbook is the pencil qualities page. Okay, so we're actually going to start using our pencils to create values. We are no longer going to be just using line or just using shape. We're actually going to be, or space, we're going to be actually starting to create some value. All right, so now the first thing that we have to do is we have to understand the differences between our pencils and the pencil qualities. So when you're looking at your pencils, when you sharpen them, you should have sharpened the side that doesn't have a letter on it, right? You should always sharpen away from the number of the pencil. Okay, so you'll look at these, and typically what you'll see is a letter and a number. So 2H, HB. This is a 4H. This is a 2B, and this is a 6B. Okay. So those are our different pencils, and there is a way to organize these pencils that we're going to go through right now. All right, so this is what we have. So make sure that you've got all this stuff. All right, now what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be filling in our pencil scale. All right, so let me zoom in here so you can see pretty clearly. There we go. Now, the key thing that I want you to remember is this. HB is in the middle. All right, so find your HB pencil. Okay. The color of the pencil is irrelevant. I'll tell you that right now. The color of the pencil is irrelevant. You could find a red HB, black HB, green, white. It doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is that it has an HB at the back. So looking at this, an HB, another name for this pencil is a number 2 pencil. All right, so if you have a number 2 pencil laying around, you have an HB pencil. Now, you'll notice HB and 12B's over here. So let's take a look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. All right, so let's take a look at our pencils. We have a 2B, so HB, the next one is going to be 2B. What's next? I don't have another B pencil. I have a 6B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my 6B is here, right? So it goes 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, 10B, then 12B. I have an HB, I have a 2B, and I have a 6B. Okay? I don't have a 12B. And while 12B pencils do exist, they're not very commonly used. Okay? Now let's go the other way. Understanding that if we went to the right with B, it's 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, 10B to 12B. What about H? Well, it does the same thing. So it'll go 2H, 4H, 6H, 7H, 8H, 10H, and then 12H. Now, in reality, 12H and 10H don't really exist. Okay? The reality is that the highest the pencil will go is 9H, right in the middle. Okay? And there are such things as 7H, 5H, so on and so forth, just like there's 3Bs and whatnot. However, we don't need every single pencil. So I've only given you pencils that you really need. So go ahead and take a look at the ones that you have. You have a 2H, and you have a 4H. And that's really what we want to be doing, and that's really what we want to do with this scale. Okay? Is basically identify the different pencils we have. Now, the next thing is, what do these pencils, why are they different? That's going to be our next thing. And as we go through our next activity, you're going to pay attention to the pencil, and that's going to tell you what the H and the B stands for, what it means. Okay? So let's get ready for that in a sec. So taking a look into these directions, it's telling you that for each of the pencils provided, you're going to create a value scale, a graded line, and a varied line using that pencil in that box. Okay? Now, one of the things I want to make sure that you pay attention to right there, okay? Do not smudge your pencils, all right? I don't want you using your fingers or paper towel or anything like that. This is all about pencil control, okay? Pencil control. So watch. Let's go to the HB pencil. The HB pencil is going to be in the middle here, all right? Now, you'll notice I'm left-handed, all right? So what I tend to do when I'm using my HB pencils or drawing or shading everything, okay? Most of you know lefties. If there's any lefties, we tend to draw across, and what happens is that we smudge and we get everything all over our hands. Righties, you pull this way, right? Yeah. Well, lefties, we're going to do it this way. We're going to start on this side. So lefties, you're going to start on this side and pull across. Righties, you're going to go on this side and pull across. Okay? So this is what it's going to look like. What I'm going to do is notice that I'm holding the pencil towards the back. All right. The reason for that is I'm going to get a larger pencil stroke this way. I'll get more control in terms of pressure that I apply. Whereas here, I get a smaller pencil stroke and I'm able to push too hard. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I hold it back here. All right. And what I'm doing is all I'm going to do is put some layers down. It's okay if you go outside the lines. It's perfectly fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it across, reducing pressure as I go. Now, one of the things that you can't really see is that I'm moving my arm, not just my hand. And I'm pulling across, and I'm creating a value scale using this pencil. See that? So that's as dark as it can go, and that's about as light as it can go. But is that really the darkest it can go? Let me put another layer down. Put another layer down on top. Okay, and as I'm going across, I'm reducing pressure. And I want you to listen to the pencil right now. Definitely hear that pencil, right? And also feel how it feels against the paper. So that is my value scale. Now my graded line, what I'm going to do with a graded line is I'm going to start here and I'm going to push down, and as I'm coming across, I'm reducing pressure. And look at that line quality. My varied line, so that's my graded line, right? Graded line. Varied line is, what I'm doing is I'm going to start here. I'm going to go thick, thin, dark, light. This is all pencil control, right? So that's my HB pencil. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll get started on the next one. All right, now that we've finished the HB one, you know what? Let's move over to 6B, okay? We're going to do the 6B pencil. So I'm here with my 6B, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did before that I did with the HB. So again, holding towards the back. Wow, that's already really different. Look how much darker that is. Right? As I'm pulling across and I'm reducing pressure, it's still pretty dark. And look how it's blending. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Look how much pressure I'm reducing and it's still really dark. Okay, wow. Let's try this again. Let's go another layer. I'm going to extend my dark area. Notice how I'm blending. I'm not smudging. I'm using all pencil control. There we go. And that is my value scale. Now I'm going to create a graded line, just like I did with the other one. And look at that. Wow, that's a lot of range. My varied line, same thing. Right? All pencil control. So that's the 6B. Now I want you to listen though. Make sure that you listen to the pencil right now. Can you hear that? As you're drawing, pay attention to it. All right. Why is that important? Well, now we're going to jump over to the 4H pencil. All right. So with our 4H pencil, we're going to do the same thing. So we've already done our HB and our 6B. I move those off to the side. I'm going to grab my 4H pencil. Remember to check. Now listen to the pencil as I start. It sounded really different than the 6B, right? And look at that line. Holy cow. That's really different. And I'm not pushing harder or lighter than I did with the other ones to begin with. So what is that telling us about the difference between these pencils? That's something to start thinking about it. As you're drawing with this and trying to create a value scale, what do you feel? What kind of line is it making? Is this one more difficult or easier to use? Why would somebody try to use this for shading? That's super weird. Look how light it got. Look how, wow, look at that difference. It's huge, right? Well, I'm going to add another layer. And I'm not pushing that hard, okay? I'm not pushing any harder than I did with my other ones. And I'm noticing that this pencil is definitely very light. It's nowhere near as dark as my HB or my 6B pencils. All right, now I've got that. Now my graded line. Whoa, did you feel that? Yeah, it's almost like I was about to tear through my paper, right? And look how thin that line is. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna make my varied line. Wow, that's really different than my HB and my 6B, right? So I've got my graded line, I've got my varied line. Now take a look at this, all right? I want you to take a look at the differences between these. Now that we've finished the three first ones, which is the HB, the 6B, and the 4H, it is now your turn to do the 2H and the 2B. I'm not going to explain these to you because you already did it 3 times. So what you have to do the same thing here with your 2H. You have to do the same thing here with your 2B. Got it? All right. Don't worry about the ebony. We're not doing the ebony. Okay? We're just doing these. Once you're done with that, come on back for the rest of the video. All right, so welcome back. Now that you've finished all of these, right, all 5 of these value scales, and you got to feel the difference between the pencils, now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what H and B stands for. All right, so for this, I'm going to wind up needing just my HB pencil, okay? So let's take a look at this. As you were drawing and as you were creating these value scales, what do you think H stood for? Give me a property of the pencil that you think H stood for. And one of the first things that comes up is hard. Okay, the pencil lead is hard. And because it's hard, it's going to make a thin and light line. Okay, which is going to mean that it's easier to erase. So, what is this pencil really good for? This pencil is really good for sketching. That's what these pencils are for. So if you're going to be doing any kind of light sketching, this is what you want, is a 2H or a 4H. Typically a 2H as you learn to control your pressure, because a 4H pencil is going to make very deep grooves in the paper if you push down hard. Okay? But that's the beautiful thing about a 2H is that you can push down a little bit harder and it's not going to make as deep of a groove, but you want to be careful. So when in doubt and you're sketching, use a 2H. If you're still not comfortable with that, use an HB. But now, remember, an HB pencil is not going to make a light line like an H pencil. Okay? So, looking at B, what do you think B stands for? All right? Well, many people, and what it says, B stands for is bold. Okay? B is bold. And if an H is thin and light, B is going to be thick and dark. So, what is a B pencil good for? If an H pencil is good for sketching, a B pencil is good for shading. Very good. Okay, So that's the difference, is H pencils are good for sketching, B pencils are good for shading. Now you know what your pencils are good for. Okay. Our next activity is going to be actually using these pencils to create some quick sketches and then shading with our other pencils. Now, typically when we use these pencils, we don't just use one. We start with one and then we build on top with the other. So we're always going to be layering, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. All right? Okay. Well, thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Bye now.